perfect. We're on. So I'm going to leave it up to you, Jeremiah, first to do your introduction, then I'll do mine. I'm long.
Okay, yeah, no problem. Well, I think today, I guess what we really want to do to start out is this is all about just real stuff that works in sales, right? Because we were talking about it the other day, how there's all this stuff online where you see everyone, preaching or advertising to us how great they are, and everyone's looking for this great, wizard or guru to believe in. And I think we decided to come up with this blab by just saying, hey, we've been in sales for a long time. We found out what works and what doesn't work. And why not share that with people? Like, pull back the curtain on it. Now, of course, there's people making a lot more money than I make. There always will be. But I do know one thing is that I'm on calls all day selling to executives. I've sold e-commerce, physical products that were small ticket all the way up to, six-figure deals. And I can share with how we make those things sell and just share what works there for us. And I imagine it's going to work for anyone watching as well in their business, because it covers a pretty large spectrum of things that both of us have sold. And it's, kind of good to at least give back a little to the community to say, here's the truth in what's really working, what's not working, and kind of what's BS and what's real.
Yeah, and I suppose that's one of the things we should say is there's nothing for sale. This is a conversation.
Yeah, there's nothing for sale.
We're talking about sales because, as Jeremiah said, he's a long time at it. So am I. Yeah. So when we talked about it, we said we'd have a chat. So I'm a bit longer in the tooth than Jeremiah. I'm hearing myself back here an awful lot. That's horrible. I can hear myself back. Can you hear yourself back when you talk?
I cannot.
Oh.
And I'm glad. Yeah. It's a terrible sound.
You've got to hear me.
Yes.
So I'm at sales since I'm 16 and a half, 17. First time I ever made a sale was my father walked in, handed me a brochure and said, go sell this stuff when I joined a family business. So that was interesting. So I'm at it. My smallest sale is 99 cents. Biggest sale is 6.2 million as a single sale. I've sold retail, construction, online, offline. I've been around the block a fair bit. I'm what's classed as a serial entrepreneur in these terms. When I was a kid, it was called a serial killer.
Yeah.
So it's just slightly different. So what we decided we'd do, guys, is we'd have a chat about kind of our experience, what works for us, because we had a lot in common about what we
absolutely
talked about. We have guys you're trying to dial in a couple of people. Give it a few minutes and we let you dial in and we can ask questions away and have chats. We're going to bring anybody in who wants to come in.
Awesome.
All right.
Do we have, how many folks do we have online? I can't really see.
6.
Okay, great.
I'm going to bring Nick in because he's a guy I know and he's doing it wrong.
Uh-oh.
Right.
Well, we could fix that maybe.
Nick, you've now dialed in.
Yeah,
he doesn't realize it.
Yeah, I think it's just taking a bit to connect. I can see down here on my screen that it's trying to dial in.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to quickly let folks know that my day-to-day time I'm a partner and a vice president in a security company. So we sell high-ticket services to mostly large companies, some small companies. So most of my day is a calendar booked with sales calls, and we're constantly testing and trying new things to earn new customers. And every year we've grown more than the previous year on the things that we're going to share, that I'll share today with you. And
because we met just before Christmas at an event in Atlanta.
Yes.
And I suppose there's a lot of synergies in the type of tactics that we've used in sales. I'm not one of these people who believes you can sell sand to the Arabs, as the old expression used to go. I think that it has to be an exchange. It has to be a fair and valuable exchange for both sides, more so for the customer.
Yeah.
And it's one of the things that annoys me when I hear a lot of the stuff about the high pressure sales and we're going to do this and we're going to pound this and we're going to pound that.
Yeah, it's constant. Like on Facebook, I'm sure everyone's seen it. I'm grinding, I'm hustling every day. It's Sunday, I'm working. And I'm thinking to myself, just on that note, I won't go into it a ton because I have notes here. But the idea is, in real business that does really well, you don't see these folks that are really doing extremely well always grinding, right? There's a grind, it's phases. So you grind for a while to get the engine running because you want a predictable stream of leads and customers coming in. But eventually you shift the vehicle into second gear where it starts to run. You've built up a customer base, they keep returning, new customers are coming in, and you're not, sitting there, as I like the analogy, chopping a tree down with a hammer all the time. Eventually, you have to get efficient if you want to have lifestyle, you want to have a good business that scales and grows. You can't be just grinding it out every single hour, every day. I mean, that seems heroic, honorable maybe in certain cultures, but to me, I've never gotten good results that way, ever.
Yeah, you see, you're much more polite than me because I would have just said stupid, and I've been that guy. I used to go out suited to boot at 7:30 in the morning and come home at 8 o'clock at night. 6 days a week, and it's interesting in the choice of when you sell the products. Every product that I sold before I got onto the internet was a one-off. So I would sell, kitchen cabinets. I did a contract in San Francisco. It was $180,000. Great, but I'm only as good as tomorrow.
Sure.
Because the minute it's done, you're on to the next. And
and that's why one of the things I did was, in a little preparation, I created some notes that I'll share with everyone a little later. But it kind of covers that topic right there as to why I think it's important to have repeat customers built into your business. Otherwise, you do have the one-offs. Like we notice, I think in the IM space, it's a lot of launches, right? So I'll do a launch, maybe you make $100,000, maybe you make $1 million. I don't know, whatever people are making. But then they are back to the grind tomorrow, trying to come up with their next launch. And I'm sure that's not everyone, but if you don't have repeat built in, you have to be an extremely hard worker and extremely sharp marketer to keep the money flowing in. You
have to be at the bleeding edge constantly. There's no kind of pause time.
I saw like a thing like, you know how I have all my sales weapons here, but I saw an analogy where there's like a guy walking on the blade. And they're saying that's what it's like. You're always, on the edge. And I was like, that was a pretty good cartoon.
It's okay to fall to the left. It's okay to fall to the right. It's not okay for your legs to open.
Yeah,
you're going to land up in trouble.
Yeah.
So the couple of things, so when I started in this, I was telling Jeremiah the other day, I actually had to go to a thing called a phone book and look up a category, which was architects, and send out like 680 letters that were typed by my secretary.
Yeah.
Right. They were sent out. The whole object of the letter was to get into the company. Before I sent out the letters, I rang each one of the companies to find out who the person was I should write to. And then write to that person. And then on the old day, the phone calls.
Rotary
phone. You were going out like Quasimodo at the end of the day. And the whole object of the exercise was to get as many no's as I possibly could. Right?
Okay.
Because that was the old way, the old mentality of settling was the more no's you got, the closer you are to the yes. And I did that.
We've all heard that,
about 2 weeks and went, this is stupid.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense to keep getting no. So I went back and completely reanalyzed what we did. And then it was to get to talk to the secretary. So I would get to the secretary, talk to the secretary. That was a win. And it was to break it down back into those things.
Yeah, I'm going to take some notes. That's really good.
Because in sales, you hit a lot of brick walls. Now, the internet has changed an awful lot of it because of the cost of marketing has, I'm going to say gone down, but it hasn't, right? It's cheaper to do a action than the whole campaign. That's the thing a lot of people miss when they see it. Like if you've got a business and you're going to market your business to get leads, there's a cost per lead. There's a cost per person coming in. And very few people actually equate that. And then, that funnel that I had is no different to an online funnel, to an offline funnel, to a shop. Like when we had the shop, right? And I'm going to let you talk after this. So
this is a great story. Keep going.
I had a kitchen showroom, right? We opened for some reason, every showroom I ever opened was 10,000 square feet. I don't know why, but it was always 10,000.
It's a good even number.
Yeah. You know, for a population of 240,000 people, it's a stupid number. Okay. So that's the first thing. So when someone came into the kitchen business and they actually came in to talk to us, it was 8 hours from hello, do you want it?
Wow.
No, when I was training the staff, I would say to them, we have a form. I want you to fill in the form. And most people felt very uncomfortable filling the form. Okay. And it wasn't that I wanted to make the customer uncomfortable. I wanted to get the 3 answers. What do you want? Which is obvious.
Yeah.
When do you want it?
Okay.
As in, have you actually made a decision that you're purchasing?
Okay.
Or are you kicking the plinths? Or kicking the tires in the car business? And the third one was, what's your budget? Yeah. And the fascinating thing with the budget was, everybody says you can't get a budget. You can get a budget very easily.
Absolutely.
Because we could do kitchens from 10 grand to 150,000.
Yeah, this is a great point. I think anyone, and I want to continue this because I think I go through this every day in every call that I'm on. But this is a big challenge everyone has, is trying to find out what the person's willing to spend. And I think if someone applies what you're about to say, at least I think you're about to say, to their business, and they're selling high ticket items in a business to business fashion, this is going to help them really know when they move to that next step if the person is at least verbally willing to work within certain dollar amounts. And then when you come back to them, I think that it's going to be extremely
I know you do it in your business. You've got gold, silver, and platinum. So you'll pitch someone around platinum and you can bring them up or bring them down, or around to silver.
Yeah.
So you bring them.
But I want you to explain what you were doing, because I think it's awesome, because it's completely outside of the online digital world. It's something that you were doing before the internet even existed. So why not take that and apply it to the internet? Like, why does everything have to be new and shiny, right?
Remind me to tell you about the website when I finish this bit. So I get the couple in front of me. So the decision process was interesting. It was the woman chose the what and the when.
Okay.
And the husband normally chose the how much. Right? Not always the case, but about 80%.
Okay.
So what we would do is we would know the property prices of all of the different territories. So the first thing we get is their address. So I would then know that, let's say the house is worth $300,000, right? Average spend here was between 5 and 7.5%. Okay. So that's about $20,000 was their budget anyway.
Okay.
So I had it before I ever even talked to them. But they might have $5,000 more to spend. They might be conserving the budget, might be $5,000 less. So that was it. So normally conversation went like this is, okay, lads, what type of budget you have? And the guy would go, I'm not telling you that. No problem. Well, see that kitchen? I can do that kitchen for 150 grand. I can do that kitchen for 80 grand. Or I can do that kitchen for 20 grand.
Yep.
Where are we? And the guy would go, 150 grand? I'd never spend that in the kitchen. Yeah. It's off the table.
Right.
Would you spend 50? Oh, geez, no. And I knew this anyway because of the value of their house. Now, you've got the rare exceptions, but that was the whole way of doing the pre-close. So then he would give me a budget of about 15, 17 grand, and we'd normally sell him 22 to 25 grand, depending on the optional extras they wanted inside.
Ah, beautiful. Yeah, this is great, because I think in marketing terms, and I don't remember all the terms that we refer to it as price anchoring. So you're starting high, and there's a spectrum, and then based on what they want, try to find that overlap of the sweet spot. But he told you the budget was 15 to 17K, but you said on average you were able to get them into the 20 to 22K.
Because nobody's going to tell you how much they have to spend, unless they're insane, right? They'll always take 10 to 20% off it anyway.
Yeah. Because even if they're not clever or trying to do something, they don't really know until they find something they want, and then they'll justify spending more or less on that, right?
But it's also an issue, Jeremiah, of trust, right? Like you just met me. Like, I compare this to dating. Like, I've just said hello to you. You ain't heading to the bedroom, like.
Yeah. Yeah. You'd have to be a smooth operator.
Unless you're charging me a certain amount of money, which is a whole new negotiation.
Yeah, that's another business altogether.
But the fascinating thing was So I'm around long enough with print. I remember Windows coming in, moving from DOS to Windows and being really excited. Fax, and then the dawn of the internet. So our logo was a butterfly. And what would happen is we had it built in Flash, without going too technical. The butterfly would come flying out, flap its windows, and the product scattered out.
Ooh.
Fabulous.
Wonderful.
We never put our telephone number on the front fucking page. Excuse my language.
Hey, you forgot the old lessons of the phone book days.
We had lovely butterflies.
Hey, I remember those days.
Yeah, and it was also on dial-up, so the butterfly went on mine, which was high speed, went like this. On everybody else's, it went. It's a case of being too clever.
Yeah. Yep, and not sticking to those principles that you learned, from the beginning. When you were calling people and stuff like that, and live kind of fire, you were learning what worked and what didn't. And I think during the .com days, a lot of people threw out all that knowledge. Like, let's say 100+ years, people have been learning what worked and what didn't. The web came around, and it seemed like, because I was right there at the beginning of the internet when it started, and I graduated college right in the heart of the .com boom. And I was fortunate enough to move to Silicon Valley and go work out there. And it seemed like everything that was learned historically that we knew worked and didn't work got thrown out, and everyone was trying to just get funding, do all this kind of crazy stuff, and not stick to the things that work in business. And we saw like that bubble come, and then it crashed. The dust settled, and then businesses had to go back to like, hey, we need to earn revenue and profits here. Like, back to the basics.
When you mentioned the .com bubble, right? I would have been reasonably well off at that point, right?
Okay.
I've been up and down over my over my career, and it intrigued me. It was like there was an ad over here for Kit Kat for a pop group. You can't sing, you can't dance, you look awful, you go far, right? And you don't make anything, you don't sell anything, and you don't give people anything, but it's worth $1 billion.
Yeah.
No, let's be fair. Google, Twitter, Facebook, all of these came out of that circumstance as well. So there was a percentage of them came out. But there were so many guys dived on the thing. Because, as you know, I'm in the app world, and I see the exact same thing now.
Yeah. But from the .com boom, the thing that I've noticed, and this kind of comes back to some of the basics that I want to share at some point during our conversation today, is that... What's that?
Start heading into it.
Sure, absolutely. So
shut up.
The thing that I saw was that everyone had something to sell eventually, right? eBay was there in the beginning. They were running auctions, taking a percentage of the sales that go through. So there you could see, okay, what is the clear path to revenue? They had a clear path to revenue. Google started, they were just a search engine. They had a better search engine. It gave you really good results, better than what everybody else had out there, right? And I was right there at the time. So I started using them in 98 when they started. And, all of a sudden they said, I was working with a client at that time that does IT training. Actually, it was a little later, around 2001, or right around the year, right before Google AdWords launched. We were doing organic campaigns in Google to drive people that were looking to learn, let's say, .NET programming, Java programming, these types of things. And we would do training classes across 40 cities across the United States, where we basically fill up a room with about 30 people at a hotel conference center, bring in all the computers, the big old CRT monitors and everything, send a trainer down there, and then train for 3 to 5 days. And it was several $1,000s, maybe $2,000 on average per class. So what we were doing before Google, for example, and Google is very near and dear to me because it's what really got me started in the direct response advertising world. But what we were doing before that is we were doing the cold calling, like you had mentioned. We would sit, and there was a guy that would literally try to crank out like 60 calls a day, just calling in the companies it was right when the .com crash hit. So he's like, hey, you want to buy training? Nope. Hey, you want to buy training? Nope. Just, and he was sitting behind me in a room about the size of the room I'm in here in my home office. And the guy, it was miserable. I mean, I felt terrible for him, and just, he was getting nowhere. But at the same time, I was behind him building websites with another guy, and we built these sites to have a search engine strategy. And back then, what you had to do was search engines didn't like websites that were built using scripting and things like that. So we built them, and then at nighttime we compile them into just plain HTML and push them back to the web server. So they were friendly, search engine friendly, as it was called back then, which doesn't even matter now. But that's what we did. We started getting we started getting phone calls slowly coming in. Hey, I'm interested in this training class. I'm interested in this. I'm interested in that. And mind you, before that, we had no phone calls coming in, right? So I was like, hey, we're on to something here. This organic search is starting to kick in. We started to use a search engine called dotcom to run pay-per-click ads. And we're trying to reach people that are looking for training. Then Overture came around. And then one day, we got a call from this company called Google. And they said, we see that you're running pay-per-click ads over on these other engines, and you seem to be doing well. Would you like to be one of the very first companies to be part of Google AdWords? I said, heck yeah, because we are already getting great results from the other engines, and our organic in Google was the highest traffic source above even what we were paying for with the other guys. So when Google added on AdWords, that's when I said, oh my gosh, these guys are going to crush it, because now they have all the search. Everyone's using them as their preferred search engine, even at that time. And now they're able to charge for every click. And I think we were paying like 5 to 15 cents a click back then. It was ridiculous. There was no conversion tracking. There was nothing like that built in. We had to build our own conversion tracking scripts and all this. But at the end of the day, what happened is we generated so many phone calls. We had to get 11 new phone calls or phone lines into the office and hire a bunch of people to answer the phones from a sales point of view at the other end of the office, which was way down a long hallway. And I found out because I heard someone running down the hallway. I'm like, what is this going on here? And then here comes our CEO, and he said, whatever you guys are doing, I don't know what you're doing, but the phones are ringing off the hook. And it was right after we kicked in the Google AdWords campaign. And that's when I knew that this Google company is going to just, crush it, because we were doing so well. Did you
buy shares?
No. Yeah, exactly. So that's when two things clicked. One, I said, okay, here's another company come out of .com. They're going to make money. Two, I got the direct response advertising bug. And ever since then, that's when I kind of became like a Google AdWords guy, helping people generate sales leads from the people that are looking.
I think it's an important point to pick up on, because it is much easier to complete a sale if the customer comes to you than you going to the customer.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that's actually that's number one. I don't know if you can see it, but that's number one here on my list of things that I want in every business that I'm doing. Is I really want a nasty
problem to solve.
Yeah, a person with a nasty problem to solve, and they're searching for someone to help them, and they want to pay someone to solve that problem. That is the number one ingredient that every business I've been in that's been successful. That scenario existed. In the scenarios where I did not do well, that scenario was not in place. So that's kind of the first thing. Like, they got to be looking to save money, make money, solve something that's software, like hard work and effort. They want to make things quicker and more efficient, but something has to be there where they're looking to solve a pretty nasty problem. And they already have made up in their mind that they want someone that they can pay to solve that problem. And once that exists, and it is kind of in order. So number one, if that's in place, then everything else gets a heck of a lot easier in my experience.
Yeah. So what's the pain?
What's that?
What's the pain?
Yeah.
Well, interesting enough, the retail businesses I would have been in, it wasn't as much a pain as a desire.
Yep. And that's why I think it's good that both of our experiences, like, that's just my experience, right? I know there's people that have made, and others have.
And I can understand it from the web point of view, because the web is a fantastic place if somebody's searching for you or searching for the product and the solution that you have. It's a nightmare if they're not. Right? Because how do you get in front of them? And it was kind of part of the journey that I've gone on with the company I'm creating at the moment, is I'm making something that hasn't been done.
Yes.
But then I kind of woke up a couple of weeks back and said, well, they're still searching for the solutions, so I just got to get in front of that solution and bring them this way.
Right.
But
yeah, and that's what I think is good, because it's not always that, even if they're not searching. Right now we have things like Facebook and targeted advertising that you can really almost, if you know who you're looking to reach with Facebook and ad channels like that, you can really dial in to find those people and get what Dan Kennedy calls, I always like this, the permission to sell, right? So if you have that good offer, like I'm going to help you save money, make your life easier, give you what you want, pleasure, gain pleasure, whatever it may be, you can at least target those people and get that message. And then whoever positively responds to that, then it's a little bit of work before this, but if they respond to it, then it creates that situation, right? Now they're coming to you. They're like, hey, I saw that. I responded properly to the message you said the thing you said you could do for me, and I'm interested in it. Now I'm a person with a nasty problem or a desire, and I want to pay someone to do that for me. And it seems like you have a good thing. I want to talk to you. Once you get, that's all I really want in sales, at least from my side, is someone who's at that stage that's already made up their mind that they want that, and they're willing to have an open conversation versus trying to convince them that they need to buy something.
Yeah, and we talked about this the other day. It's kind of the difference between the carpet bagger and the professional salesperson.
Yeah.
And the advantage that I would see now compared to when I started is it's very cost effective to test, to try and find the people who have the desire, the need.
Yes.
And as I said, a lot of the products I sold, like when I started in the tile business, nobody tiled their kitchen floor.
Okay.
Because they were too hard under your foot and they were too cold.
Okay.
Right? So overcoming objections. So I put a fridge into the showroom and an oven.
Yeah.
So we take 2 tiles. I turn on the oven. I'd have the fridge on. I take the tile out of the fridge and hand it to you, and take the tile out of the oven and hand it to you. One is hot, the other one's cold. Why is that? Because if it's in a warm environment, it keeps the heat. If it's in a cold environment, it keets the cold.
Right.
It's a plate.
Yeah. Yeah.
And people got that. We started breaking into it. But it was a desire to have. It wasn't a must have. It wasn't like, a product where I have to have this. If I don't, my life doesn't continue. In a lot of what we were selling, especially when you go up in the value, it was more a desire to have, and it was talking about creating that desire.
Yeah.
So if anyone wants to dial in, I know I stopped a couple of dialing in a while ago, but if you want to dial in at this point, you can dial in. I don't know how many
it'd be
people
good to have some folks join us, because I can sit here all day. I do have some points to go through, but I'll just go through them quickly then, so we can get
go through your 5 points.
So that's number one. You want someone with a problem or a desire of some sort, and they think of it in the terms of, I want to pay someone to get that thing. And again, this is just from my experience of what's worked for me personally. Not saying it's the only way to do things, but it's a heck of a lot easier than others, I think. So number 2 is, once they have that, I want them to find me, and I want them to think that I'm the best solution, or what I'm selling is the best choice for them. So it's kind of like the answer of, why the hell should I hire you over all these other options that I have? I want to pre-sell to them through content, through a certain funnel, which you and I had talked about before, that they go through before I even have that first call, so that by the time we have the first call, they're like, wow, I saw how you do everything. That seems great. I already think you're the best choice to buy from. So I'm not doing that on the first call, like trying to hard convince someone. I'm using leverage, and I'm letting, a funnel take care of that for me. And it took me, a good 6 years to get that going.
I think you're being a bit modest about what you're doing there, right? Because when we talked, the interesting thing here is Jeremiah actually gets his customers to pay to give him a proposal.
Yeah.
Right. So you have them pre-qualified to such a point that they're willing at that point in time to part. And we talked about that. I had the same issue in the kitchen business. Yeah. If somebody came in, it was 8 hours. A lot of times guys were coming in just to get the drawings. Yeah. So we started charging for it. And what we found is our conversions went up.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So what I see is that, and I'm not sure if my video is clear to you or not, Tony, but you're chopping up a little, but not much we can do about that except write it out. But the point is, if anyone sells to another person to where you have to develop a proposal, web design, marketing consultant, high-end consulting of any sort, manufacturing, things like that, retail, you generally run into that situation where people are saying like, hey, everyone else just give me a quote. You're just another commodity in the chain. Give me a quote. I said, the hell with that. I do not want to, again, it goes against my rules. I want to be seen as the best person to buy from. I'm not just going to throw a quote over the fence to you. And if that's what you want me to do, then we're not a good fit to work together, or I didn't do a good enough job showing you why that's not good for you to do that, right? So my funnel, or the funnels, maybe just too complex of a term. It's just steps that and information people read in a pre-sales process, so that they don't want me to just throw a quote at them. They want a real quote that's going to benefit them in a certain way, from a high level.
But I think that's very interesting in what you're doing, because most people don't do it.
They're afraid to do it.
Yeah, because they want, like, if I get in front of the person, I'm a great salesperson, I'll be able to sell them. Whereas what you're actually doing in essence is you're pre-qualifying them. And it was the same as we talked about before. I used to do this thing in the shop of a sales ladder, right? And I either wanted you to go up a step or get off. And the timeline of that sales ladder was 8 hours.
Yep.
But so you came in, you made an inquiry. You then wanted a consultation. So I either wanted to get as many people off there as I possibly could, because it meant that we had people free in the showroom to talk to people.
Yeah.
Otherwise, everybody's sitting out in front of the computers. Like when I walk into shops, I cannot understand. And if you own a store, can I help you?
Yeah.
No. Automatic response. All you got to do is say, hello.
Yeah.
How are you? And most people say, I'm fine. How are you?
Yeah.
And you start a conversation.
Exactly.
So, but I think it's very interesting in the way you pre-qualify them. You're in the securities business. It's a high-end product.
Very complex.
It's a very neat product.
Very complex.
So by pre-qualifying them, it's very interesting the steps that you're taking, because by the time you actually get to talk to them, you probably have 70% of your work done.
Yes, absolutely. That is what happens. Now, it wasn't always that way. I've been almost 10 years at it, getting to this point. So I don't want to make anyone think that there's like wizardry going on here. It's literally through reading all of
you don't
those
look over 12. Like.
Yeah. Hey, like the Lucky Charm box behind you. But a lot of it's just reading and pulling from people that have worked, and then testing and trying and testing and trying. But eventually, like we talked about in the beginning of the call, you want to get out of that grind and hustle, and you want to get to flow. And this year is where we got into getting flow in our business. Well, last year, actually, in 2015. But that adding all these processes so that by the time you talk to somebody, they're already pretty close to being convinced that your way is the best way to do it. And you create that apples to oranges comparison where you are not being put in the same bucket as everyone else. You have a very clear offer as to why they should choose you over everyone else. And you back that up with things like, and this is really important, this is coming, from my experience, and I highly recommend everyone do this. You give them the, here's who we work with, here's all our media mentions, here's how you should buy the type of thing that I sell, and the things that you should watch out for when you buy from someone. And when you do that one piece right there, it positions you as an advisor. And if you're honest and open and it's not a sales pitch, it's really ask these questions, and you know that the competition really can't answer those questions well as you can, then by the time you talk to them, you're already positioned in the right spot that you want to be in, which is that number 2, you want to be seen as the right choice right from the beginning.
So what you're doing is you're educating the buyer without them kind of realizing it. And you're not telling them any reason at that point in time why to buy from you specifically. But what if they're buying this type of product, they should be looking.
Yeah, and you need to know a little bit about your competition too. You need to know you need to do the research to find out if there's a common problem in the methodologies being used, the types of products being sold by your competition, because it's a very simple strategy. They use it in politics, like right now, the presidential things going on here, but what you're doing is creating a common enemy. Yeah, you don't have that going. But there's a common enemy approach that you create, and it's not with the other company. It's in the generic way that things are being done. And if that's a truth, what's going to happen is people go and talk to these other companies, and they're like, yep, exactly what you said is exactly what I got. I don't want to do it that way. I want to do it the way you said to do it. So now you both have a common enemy, which makes you friends, right? In essence, like, hey, I don't like that. You don't like that. Now we're joining and we can have a normal conversation. And then once that's in place, then it's a lot easier to get a sale. I mean, there's a lot more to it than that, but that's a big lever that you want to have in your hand. And then number 3 is pretty simple. It is, I want to have repeat sales, which you talked about earlier, Tony, built in to every business. And I want it to be relatively easy to have add-on sales built into every business that I'm in, because I don't want to have to be the greatest marketer in the world who is so awesome at acquiring new customers all the time. I want to get high-ticket customers on board, make them love me, deliver great service, have them come back over and over again, while at the same time having a predictable lead flow, driving in, acquiring new customers and things like that. And from my experience, that's the best model. So when you're thinking about going into business or what business to get into, it's good to have all those components in place.
So again, to take up on that point, right? There's a couple of things that intrigue me with some of the big businesses and the way they operate, right? It is much easier to sell and resell to somebody who's already bought.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Right?
You become an order.
When I was in retail, it used to drive me crazy. Now we used to do builders and hotels and that type. So we had repeat business, but I did a great job for someone. They came in, they paid, they're delighted, they left. It was 15 years before they came back.
Wow. That's too much time between the buying and the repeating.
Yeah. It was absolutely crazy, right? But then I look at the likes of the cell phone companies, the cable companies. They will incentivize everybody to come in as a new customer. They will treat you like crap being an existing customer. And it doesn't make any sense. Like, you're with them, you're happy, you're paying. I'd be ringing you up saying, the new iPhone 6, you're not supposed to get it for another 4 months, but you know what? You're such a great customer. We're waiving that. We want to give you before anybody else could get at you. I'd have you nailed and buried in.
Right.
It's amazing how.
It's a very lazy and inconsiderate way to run. It's terrible here in the United States as well. You see it. I mean, all those big companies, cable television, cell phone service, and things like this. And I always like to call it negative profits. So what you're actually doing is you're getting your profits not by adding more perceived value to your customer base that's loyal. You're getting it just because you're squeezing them. You're like, I got you in, now you're locked, you can't do anything, and you got to pay me.
You're in contract.
But if they flip that around to say, like you said, offer some incentives to long-term customers, make them happy. I mean, I can't afford to do that crap in our business. I have to make people feel good, like we're an advisor. We're there to help them, or else they don't come back. And I've had customers with us for 6-7 years consistently. I have to look. It might even be longer than that. Like, I think some of our initial first customers from 2006 still come back every year.
But if you look at your customer acquisition cost, which is a cost to the business, it's more marketing than sales, but you have it in acquisition cost.
Yes.
If you can have that person buy and buy and buy again, you don't have to replace them with new customers, and your customer acquisition costs stay small.
Yes.
It's it's amazing how stupid businesses are, especially the bigger ones, because it's the growing point. I'm going to tell a bad joke at this point.
Do it.
Right? And it is a slightly dirty joke. If anyone's offended, I do apologize.
I like it.
Front, right? But it's a sales joke.
Okay.
So this young kid is working in a Walmart type store, right? And the manager is sales training him.
Okay.
Right? And he says, when we sell a product here, we want to sell another product with it. Mm-hmm. Watch and learn. So goes up to the counter. This man comes up and says, good morning. He says, good morning, sir. How can I be of service? He says, I'm looking for some lawn seed. Absolutely no problem. How big is your lawn? Works it out the whole lot. He says, oh, you have a big lawn. You're going to need 6 bags of lawn seed.
Okay.
That'll be $200. By the way, this weekend we have a special offer on ride-on lawnmowers. And this time of year, how fast the grass grows.
Yeah.
So wouldn't it be a great idea to avail of the offer now rather than wait till the price goes up? That's a very good idea. He goes over and he sells him a $1,500 ride-on lawnmower.
Yeah.
He goes back to the kid and he says, that's what I want you to do. Kid says, absolutely. Goes up to the counter. Next guy comes up and says, I'd like a packet of tampons. So the kid says, absolutely, sir. By the way, do you realize that we have a special on ride-on lawnmowers this weekend? The man goes, what? What? Why would I need a lawnmower? He says, you're not going to be doing anything else the weekend. You might as well cut the grass.
That's a good one. Oh man!
Not the way to do that on sale.
Yeah, no one said it was going to be a clean show today.
No, that's as clean as I get.
Advertising here. Yeah, that is awesome.
So that's a good add-on sales. Okay, what's your next point?
I'm not sure if I really have any other than just kind of a bonus point is that, okay, so one, I want people that are looking. So this is just from my experience in business again. Number one, I want people that are kind of already looking and they know they want to spend money to either get the thing they want or to solve the problem they're looking to solve, right? And hopefully it's a complex thing because then I can make, a really good sales message. Number two, I want to be seen as the best person to buy from even before. I want to pre-sell before I have that first sales call. So by the time they get on with me, it's not me mixed in with everyone else. I clearly stand out in terms of value. And this is what we're doing today in our business right now. So number three, I want repeat sales built in. I don't want to be chasing after new customers. I want to build up a big book of business that returns over and over and then have a predictable flow of those new leads like in the beginning coming in. So it just grows and grows and grows and grows. And you're actually building a bit of an asset that way, right? You're not chasing the dollar every day. And then I guess the last thing is really just the bonus. It really is helpful if you have high ticket sales. So if you're selling items that are, $5,000 and up, it's a lot easier to get to higher revenue, higher profits, as long as you have, good profits built in or good margin. But in my experience, I like the high ticket sales for multitude of things. It attracts certain kind of buyers, and it's more money, for us at the end of the day. But that's really it. I mean, that's my easiest path to business from my experience.
I've been mixed in both, right? So I'd half agree with you and half disagree with you.
Sure, yeah.
Because a lot of time volume can be very good as well. So if you've got a low end product, it has to be high volume. If you've got a low end product that hasn't high volume, honestly, find another business would be the only advice that I'd have for anybody. Because it's not a business, it's a hobby. But if you've got a high volume business at a low price, then you've got to do more numbers.
Yes.
You've got to keep your customer acquisition costs very small.
Yep.
And, try and find distributors. I know a couple of the guys that are on. One lad has, he's got green tea, the stuff I was showing you.
Yes.
So we've worked in now to get him into a distributor. If he gets into distributor, no, he gets out there, and then it's about educating the customers. So a lot of times in sales, it's interesting because is your end user? Tom's coming.
Hey, Tom.
We're in trouble.
Let's
see if he
comes. The governor's here.
He's not turned up yet. He's like Christmas is coming slowly. Everybody's trying to get used to blab. It's interesting.
Yeah. Well, it is an interesting technology. I like it because of the Hollywood Squares type effect where everyone can get involved on the video. But yeah, it is a little interesting to see if the webcam is going to work and all that kind of stuff. But maybe over the pond here, you guys are having connection issues. I don't know.
Yeah, but sure, we just about have inside toilets.
Yeah, we just lost him.
Yeah. He bailed. He's trying.
He had enough of us.
So it is interesting on the different products and the lower values. And then is the person you're selling to the person that's using it.
Yeah.
Which is one thing we didn't discuss.
Absolutely.
So in a number of cases, the person you're selling to is only going to sell it on, and you've got to give them reasons to why their customers are going to want it and look at educating the customers, which again, the web is very good for. We're kind of heading into marketing here for a second, but I think it's...
Yeah, I mean, they go hand in hand. They're not separated.
No, they're brother and sister.
Yeah,
you can't have one effectively without the other. But on the education side, the web is now so cheap. I was telling you, I'm long enough around that I know why the column of a newspaper is the way it is. Mm-hmm. It's the distance your eye moves in your head, without having to move your head because you pick up a newspaper. Yeah, which is an interesting concept.
Yeah,
but when you look at the education now, the cost, especially as I said, social media, Google Ads got expensive.
Yeah.
So some of the keywords now are $450.
Oh, it's matured like anything else. Radio, television. It started down here. Now the costs are way up here. It's crazy.
But it's an interesting long-term business model, and I lovingly call it the cocaine model. Get them addicted.
Oh yeah.
Then charge them what you want.
Yeah, exactly. It's a kind of self-governing system too, because it's that auction format to where the people that are really making the money are willing to ratchet up how much they spend per click and their daily budgets and all that kind of stuff. But that's another, it's a whole other topic. But it is still
Steve wants to come in.
Okay.
If anyone does want to dial in, don't be shy. Just dial away because we're running out of stuff to talk about.
Yeah. Yeah, and I have, just to let you guys know, talking of sales, in about 15 minutes, I have a sales call coming up.
Yeah, and I have to go have my evening coffee.
Yeah, see, for me, it's only 3:45 p.m.
Yeah. Show off.
And I have coffee.
Yeah, very nice. So honestly, I think the stuff that you and I agree on is, one is pre-close as much as you possibly can.
Yes.
Before you talk to the prospective buyer, to actually educate them in the industry rather than in your product.
Yeah, kind of how you should buy the thing and what to watch out for.
Yeah.
Right.
Tom just said here, he hit the wrong button.
Story of my life. But yeah, number one before that is even make sure you have someone that already wants to buy what you are selling, or at least the general idea of what you're selling, right? Because if you go into a business where you got to convince people to buy something, it's a lot harder. I mean, you can do it. I'm just saying from my experience, I like to kind of tap into those markets where they're already like, hey, I want to buy something. Is what you're selling good enough for me and better than all my other options? So all I have to do is come up with a better offer, right? And then I just kind of tap into that mindset. They look, they find me, I talk to them, I pre-sell them. Then I talk to them, and then the sale starts to become extremely.
It's interesting what you say there, because in the States you'd be slightly more advanced web-wise than we would over in Europe.
Okay.
That's always been my experience. About 2 years ahead in some cases.
Yeah.
It's amazing how many businesses don't have any lead capture. Ways of getting information to people, email sequence set up that can be so cheaply done in this day and age. Like, you can run an ad, drive someone to a page, they express an interest. You do have to give them an ethical bribe, let's be honest. You have to give them some reason to give your details.
Oh, absolutely.
And I hate when I go on sites and I see the word newsletter. I don't care about your news.
Yeah.
And I don't care about your news. I only care what's in it for me.
Yeah, exactly.
And the interesting thing is now nearly 80% of search in the States is coming from mobile. So they're now doing it while they're doing something else.
Yes.
You've now got the attention span to deal with as well.
Like, to your point, that's why I always say offer problem-solving information as your ethical bribe. It's always worked for me anyway. I mean, there's other things you can do, but if I were to pick something that always works for me, is to offer, problem solving information for the space that person's in, like from a high level, how to fix that thing they're looking to hire someone to fix. Because they're setting out with a problem like, hey, I need to get this thing done. Well, here's a guide, how to fix that problem, the 7 steps you need to do. Oh, shit, I need that guide, right? So then they come get the guide, and it's just a natural progression. And then really make sure that guide is really, really good. It's not you're not baiting and switching someone. But in my experience, that simple approach has always worked for me. It's not crazy complex.
Okay, so let me give you a challenge.
Yeah.
Let's say you're in an industry, right? Because where it is a crowded industry.
Yep.
Let's take insurance.
Okay.
Right? Just for a simple. Let's say you are an insurance broker doing life insurance and that type of stuff. How would you differentiate yourself from everybody else when the end product, in a lot of cases, everybody has access to?
Yeah. If I were, I would be on a yacht right now instead of sitting in my. I wouldn't be here with you, Tony. I'd be making
I feel dejected.
That's a good question. And honestly, I probably don't have, a rock solid answer, but just off the cuff, since we're kind of just brainstorming, based on my experience from other industries. And I know it's highly regulated, so there's a lot of things you cannot do. But the thing that I would do is, obviously, if someone's saying, like, why should I buy, these 2 things are the same. right? Insurance company 1, insurance company 2. There would have to be something added to the deal, like a premium or some way to increase the perceived value of buying from me over buying from the next guy, right? So let's say there aren't any restrictions. What I would do is I would sweeten the deal. Just, hey, they're only giving you that. I'm going to give you this thing extra, whatever that may be. It's referred to as using premiums to close a high ticket sale, but that's what I would do.
I'd have a same thing, but the sweetener to me is trust.
Okay.
Because if you look at, Fannie Mae's and all the guys that have gone and collapsed, and you give someone here in Ireland, I know you've got, it's called K something in the States. In Ireland, you get a piece of your tax rebated because you put into a pension or rest with it. Sure. And then you hear the story of the guy who's put in the fortune and it collapses.
Yes.
So to me, it would be building up that you're the guy who's going to be honest about it. You're the guy who's just not interested in taking out all his fees. He's going to be honest and creating that, which to me would be video, getting out there, telling people what's wrong as well as what's right.
Right. Yeah. The same things we talked about, but also, so if you're sitting, I always say it like this. It's an analogy I read probably 10 years ago, but I liked it. I said, you're sitting, so we're in an insurance business and there's one customer on one side of a long table. And then it's, let's say 10 insurance providers sitting on the other side of the table. And we have to have the best answer to that one customer. They're going to buy from one of us as long as we meet their needs. Why the hell should I buy from you over all of these choices along that table? And it doesn't matter if it's insurance or any business. You have to take the time to figure that out. Sometimes it's quick and easy to have a good answer to that. And other times it takes a lot of work to find out exactly what the competitors are offering, what the customer really wants and what they don't want, what's important to them. And then, just creating that really good offer. And sometimes it takes a lot of effort to test it. It took me about 3 years to get our security offer where it is today. Like 3 solid years of that kind of aggressive testing. I think it was like late 2012 or so that we really started.
That's an interesting point as well, because people kind of set it and forget it. So they'll do a website, they'll do this, they'll do that. They won't make lead page. They'll test it. And then, my website doesn't work. One of the comments here from Tom is people buy from people they like, which really means people like them.
No wonder people don't buy from me.
I think you're an obvious prick, like. They're not going to get too many blabs in this type of language, are they?
No, hey, we're real.
But I think it's about getting the brand people like themselves. That's just you, Tom. Yeah. I think it's interesting that if it's a personal product, to me, the difference is with your company, I want to deal with a company.
Yeah.
I want to deal with you and I want to know you, but I want to know the company because I want to know you're big enough to handle my problem. Yes. You're going in to check my firewalls. You're going in to check my stuff. Yes, I want individuals that I know at that company, but I want a company. But when it goes something personal like, insurance or something that's very personal to people, a lot of things I want to deal with a person.
Things like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. Thomas saying, no, Tom, you should just dial in. Same age, same interests, same beliefs.
That sounds like a dating website request.
Yeah. All righty. Anybody got any questions?
Yeah, I think we have just a few minutes left, but be cool if someone wants to dial it in. If not,
it looks like it's just you and me. Can we scare them off?
Okay.
No, we can both talk enough for Ireland anyway.
Yeah, and I have a sales call coming up here in the hour at 4, but I think Tom's coming in.
Hello, Tom.
Hi, guys. Technology. Tom. Pressing all the buttons, it wasn't working.
Oh, no.
Well, what I was saying is, listen to what Jeremiah was just saying there in terms of increasing the premium. Oftentimes you can't in insurance. There's too many rules. We've just bought a product out that's a real good fit for insurance companies, but they probably get the brokers to offer it. They can't offer it, so you get into tiers of challenges.
Oh, yeah.
But when it comes down to selling, if you're the salesman, the fifth salesman in what do they call it? They call it a beauty parade. When you've got if you're going to the brand agencies and you're going to go sell, an
dog and pony show, as they say here in the States.
And ultimately, people buy from people. And what that really means underneath that is they buy from people like themselves. And so people will bond, salespeople will often bond at a relationship level based on something that, and that's why salespeople are really good at often mimicking, matching, and bonding with people for different things. A good salesperson can be in a room and pick up on something that a not good salesperson will never pick up on. So there might be an interest. They might go in and see a picture on the wall that's got something to do with boating, and they just would pick up on it, and they say, "Oh, my dad had a similar boat," and it'll be true because a good salesperson always speaks the truth. But it's their attention to detail, and then suddenly we're talking about similar things, similar interests, and the issue about if everybody's going to sell me the same thing, then I'm going to buy something from somebody I like.
Yep, absolutely. So they're developing, if I'm not mistaken, developing rapport.
Absolutely.
And trust eventually.
See, Tom, the Americans have this way of putting it into very eloquent English. And you invented a language.
It's called carpetbaggers.
So one of the things, my skill set is mainly marketing, but you can't do marketing without knowing sales. And one of the things that I learned a long time ago is what's called the bell curve, which you guys will have come across, where a product hits the marketplace and goes through a bell curve of demand.
Yes.
And that's usually split into 4 categories, which are innovators, early adopters, main market, and laggards. As a salesman, if I went into somebody's office, I would be able to tell which of those characteristics the person was before I started presenting to them. I could tell by the technology on the desk. I could tell by the things in the room. I could tell by even how they're dressed, whether they were an innovator, an early adopter, the main market, which is obviously where we want to be selling to, or a laggard. If they were a laggard, especially up in Yorkshire, that typically meant they had no money. They probably had no electricity. They're just. So you kind of knew that you were going to be talking about price. It was going to get to price sooner or later, and you might as well get there sooner. If you're selling a product that is innovative, then you're talking about the new features of the product because you're talking to a buyer or a prospect who's got new technology, they've got the smartphone watch on. So that's what you want to be talking about. If you're talking to the main market, then you're talking about the main product life cycle. You're talking about these are the things that most people like most of the time. So you're talking about social proof.
Yeah.
So depending upon, you take those 4 categories that are a marketing view of the world or product life cycle, and you bring them into a sales, it quickly sharpens your mind and focuses you on what you should be talking about and to whom you are talking to.
Right. That's awesome. Yeah, and especially like for me, most of my sales is done on the phone. But I think, Tom, in your business, and I won't speak for you, I mean, if you want to share what you're working on right now, I think, Tony, you both are working on it, right, together? You're doing a lot of in-person sales, so you get to pick up on those.
We're working on a couple of different things and some together.
Okay.
Kevin's doing the work. So Kevin has invented a product called
Outboard Warden.
It's called Outboard Warden.
Okay, Outboard Warden.
I've called it the world's first digital padlock because that's how I see it in my mind. And what it does is it makes people then think about how padlocks work and how they don't work. And padlocks don't work when you go back to wherever it is you fastened up and find half a padlock and no thing. So if it was a bicycle or a motorbike or a jet ski, you found a broken padlock and no thing. This new digital product uses electronics to lock up the thing and secures them with an electronic chain. If somebody tries to move the valuable, the trailer, the jet ski, the outboard engine, an alarm is immediately triggered, and then the satellite tracking starts. So it's been very well received by the insurance companies and the outboard engine manufacturers. And we're fingers crossed. We've got our first very large order, and we're sort of making a splash.
Oh, this is awesome! Again, I mean, if you think about it, right? Like what we talked about, it kind of goes back to the things that we were covering here. It's a solver for this.
Yes.
It solves a nasty problem, like a bleeding neck problem. And it's no wonder, at least in my experience, when you first told me about it in Atlanta, I was like, oh, that's awesome, because it is a bleeding neck. And people spend all this money on this thing, and they don't want someone to come swipe it.
And the problem is when they swipe it, the damage they do as well.
Yeah.
Well, so then you take the bleeding neck and you see who's got the sort of the richest neck. And when I came back from our launch at the London Boat Show, my good lady wife was saying to me that a local ATM machine had been stolen by somebody with some farm tractor equipment that had gone in and nicked the whole ATM. So she was asking, would our outboard warden work for farmers and tractors and trailers and all farming equipment and horse boxes? And I said, I'm much more interested in talking to the guys who insure ATMs.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, here in Atlanta, let's see, I think it was like a couple handfuls of Bentley cars were stolen. They eventually found them because the thieves fumbled up or got scared or something, and they left them at the airport parking.
Okay, they ran out of petrol.
So there's a couple of challenges with the current technology, and this is why I'm in this marketplace. We're definitely selling to innovators and early adopters. The challenge in the technology is that you don't know to raise the alarm until you've gone and seen the vehicle missing. By which case, the thief have got some kind of head start, and if they're a proper gang, they will know where the satellites are not able to track, or where to park the car and watch and wait for the police. And they will leave it for a day and keep an eye out. If the police don't come, then they can go back to the car. They've got more time, and they'll take off the satellite tracking device, and then they've got away with the car. What we do is, as soon as the car is taken away from the home, you trigger the alarm, because the two are being separated. So we've got an immediate, cry thief, you're on with it. And so that's a real difference in the approach to how to take the technology.
It's the same principle as a burglar alarm. If you break a window coming in, there's no point in the alarm going after the guy's left your house. You want the alarm to go when they're coming into your house.
That is, I mean, just on the front end of things, that is awesome. But I got to go, guys. I have a sales call coming up. But
can we listen in?
Yeah, hop on. It'll be pretty boring for most people.
We've an open seat. Bring him on.
Oh, that'd be great. I would love it.
You get to see their office and decide how you should change your pitch.
Yeah, let's see how full of bacon grease you are. Can you really sell? Get in the hot seat.
No problem.
Yeah. Unfortunately, due to the sensitivity of these customers, I don't think they would like to come on. This is in the security space. It might be a bank or something.
I like banks now.
Ask them have an ATM machine.
Yeah. I know the guys.
Jeremiah, do you want to give out your details if people want to email you?
Yeah, I think probably the easiest way to get in touch with me is just go to jeremiahbaker.com.
Cool.
Or look me up on Facebook or LinkedIn.
Or boatwarden for Tom.com.
Boatwarden.
Anthony McCarthy for me, or adaptize.com.
Awesome.
All right, guys. It's been we'll do another one soon. We'll add a few more. It's been a good first night.
Yeah. It's always fun to horse around. All right. Bye. Bye, guys.
Good night, guys. See ya.